How's it going, everyone? Got some pretty cool PlayStation news to go over in this video. The Last of Us is continuing a trend of great television series correlating with the sales numbers of the video game going way up. In the case of The Last of Us, it went significantly up, so we'll talk all about that. Speaking of The Last of Us, got a bit of an update on the future of the franchise. I'm sure a lot of you guys saw the news story going around. This has been all over the place on social media, but I wanted to give my 2 cents about that. Some pretty cool DLC for Like a Dragon Ishinn. If you're a fan of pro wrestling, I think this DLC will be right up your alley. And if not, it's going to be free DLC, so it's like you might as well check it out anyway. And then also, got a pretty interesting update on the future of the development of the Horizon universe. We'll talk that at the end of this video. But first of all, Christopher Dring over on Twitter noted, now the digital data is in for the UK, we can see that The Last of Us Part 1 sales actually grew 305% week on week and is at number 11 in the charts. Last of Us Remastered was up 337% and is at number 16. Now, percentage-wise, those sound like staggering numbers, but you have to also bear in mind it's not like Last of Us Part 1 and Last of Us Remastered were selling gangbuster number of copies, so when you get a big promotional vehicle like a great television series, and that is the imperative word, a great television series, it is going to skyrocket the sales numbers of those respective games. I don't know what was the case of Halo Master Chief Collection, for example, and when the Halo television series dropped, but the Halo television series I also do know went off the beaten path, to say the least, on Halo's narrative, but nonetheless, that is still incredibly impressive sales number jump. And remember, the same thing happened with The Witcher, and The Witcher was something that was incredibly well received as well, and that saw a significant spike in sales. It's great to see Last of Us doing well. I've been hearing nothing but extremely positive things about the Last of Us television series. I personally haven't watched it at this point, just because based on what my boys are telling me, they're telling me it's like a 1-to-1 correlation with the video game itself. Although they did note something that did change in episode 2, something, I don't know if you want to say it's minor, but nonetheless, that's what I was told. I'm just hearing it through the grapevine. I haven't watched it myself, which some of you might think is absolutely blasphemy, but I'm of the standpoint, yo, I experienced The Last of Us story like 847 times. Like, I don't need to watch it again, and I'm not a big television show guy anyway. Like, I'll watch anime here and there, but the last TV series that I really got into was like Walking Dead, and I only watched like the first 3 seasons of that. So, you know, bear that in mind. I'm not like a huge television guy, so me saying that I haven't watched the show, that should not be an indictment or a negative on the show itself. I just don't watch a lot of television in general. But nonetheless, Last of Us is awesome, and it's nice to see a lot of new people being exposed to it. I have so many friends that they aren't huge gamers, and they they watched the Last of Us show, and they're loving it, and, you know, I'm just telling them, you know, stay off social media, maybe don't talk to some of our mutual friends about the show itself, because they're finna just be absolutely inconsiderate of you not wanting to be spoiled, and they're gonna spoil you. Let's be real here. We all got those friends that maybe they just have one little too much to drink and then they just completely lose it and they start spoiling things left and right. I can't tell you how many of my friends got spoiled on Attack on Titan because of something like that. But nonetheless, there you go. It is cool to see the sales numbers go up so good for Naughty Dog, and good for HBO for landing another slam dunk television series. I feel like HBO is the one streaming service that I constantly hear that people are raving about, and when they drop something of quality, it is really good. So, you know, Last of Us also being received really well. Let's hope they can parlay that for the rest of this season, and I'm sure it's going to get a season 2 given the reception of the television series. Also, speaking of which, Neil Druckmann, director of The Last of Us, spoke to BuzzFeed about the future of the franchise and also noted the future of Uncharted as well, noting, beyond that, I know there's a bunch of people wondering about The Last of Us Part 3 and whether that will be a thing or not. All I could say is at Naughty Dog, we're very privileged that our publisher Sony, which means Sony funds our games, supports us, and we're owned by Sony. They have supported us every step of the way to follow our passions, meaning that just because something is successful, people think there's all this pressure and we have to make a sequel. That's not the case. For us, Uncharted was insanely successful. Uncharted 4 was one of our best-selling games, and we're able to put our final brushstroke on that story and say that we're done and we're moving on, which that in particular crushes me. Like, I loved Last of Us 1, But I love all of the Uncharted games. Even Uncharted 1, as poorly as that game ages, I still can go back and enjoy that game. But man, Uncharted 2, 3, and 4 I thought were stellar games. I just played through Uncharted 4 on PC and just had such a fantastic time with it. And you know, Naughty Dog, I know Uncharted is your baby, but if you're not gonna do another Uncharted game, maybe give it to a different studio. Like, I just want to see more Uncharted, man. I miss that whole squad, and I'm not even saying Nathan Drake's gotta be involved in the next game, because I understand that doing another Nathan Drake game, given how Uncharted 4 ended, I don't know. You could definitely do it. Like, let's be real. They could just be like, alright, yo, Nate's back in action. They could absolutely do it, but, you know, if you want to do a different story with a different character, I'd be so down for that, man. I feel like there's a lot of life in Uncharted, and why not just continue to do more projects? But if Naughty Dog isn't passionate about Uncharted as an IP anymore, hey, move on from it and, you know, give it to a different studio. But I understand why some people would be like, no, Uncharted is a Naughty Dog property, don't let another studio do it. But nevertheless, Druckmann continued noting, likewise with The Last of Us, it's up to us whether we want to continue it or not. Our process is the same thing we did when we did a part 2, which is we can come up with a compelling story that has this universal message and statement about love, just like the first and second game did. Then we will tell that story. If we can't come up with something, we have a very strong ending with part 2, and that will be the end. So seems like not completely closing the door on The Last of Us Part 3, but also not suggesting that a next game will be 100% definitive. But we do know that we're going to get a vast multiplayer project, which was noted to be a very ambitious project as well, so bear that in mind. Like, The Last of Us is going to be here to stay, and you know, it's an IP that I'm sure Sony's going to be invested into for a long, long time, given that you have the television series, and if the television series continues to gain the momentum that it has, at some point you would think that they would want to invest in another Last of Us project. But hey, Sony's been pretty cool with Naughty Dog in the sense that they did Uncharted. Uncharted turned out pretty well, and Uncharted got a movie as well, which I know wasn't as well received as The Last of Us's media adaptation, but that's an IP they can do more with. Last of Us is an IP that they can do more with, but let's be real, if they do announce a brand new IP, like Last of Us 1 was hyped up right from out of the gate, and another Naughty Dog new IP, feel like that the same exact thing is gonna happen. And if they find more passion in doing a completely new, investing into a new world and something like that, hey, more power to them, and I'd be excited to see what they did, even if Last of Us Part 2 wasn't my cup of tea. Moving on from that, come February, what will be my cup of tea is for sure Like a Dragon Ishinn. Very excited to see that being localized with updates on PlayStation, and we got some pretty cool DLC. This is coming from professional wrestler Kenny Omega over on Twitter, noting, it's been a dream to be a part of the Like a Dragon series. I'm officially going to be a trooper card in Like a Dragon Ishinn, coming out on February 21st. I'll be free DLC at launch, so this is going to allow you to do Kenny Omega's one-winged angel move, and they have a video clip showing, noting cuts down foes with slashes of the angel's wing. Looks pretty dope, and it's just pretty cool being seeing Kenny Omega being integrated into this. If you guys don't know, Omega is a crazy gamer. Like, this dude knows his stuff about video games. In fact, in Japan recently, he literally did like a whole getup and an entrance where he came out with Sephiroth, full with the armor, with the Sephiroth theme, and hence the name of his move, the One-Winged Angel. You can understand, like, this dude's a fan, and you see his fandom really shine through in the little video that RGG Studio also uploaded. So this is a pretty cool partnership, to say the least, in the fact that it's free DLC. Even if you're not a professional wrestling fan, even if you don't know who Kenny Omega is, I feel like you're gonna be like, okay, that's pretty cool, and let me check it out. And, you know, it's just nice to see, and you can just see in the video that they uploaded that his passion for Yakuza and Like a Dragon in general just really shines through, and that'll be some free DLC you can check out come February 21st. By the way, if you do pre-order the game, it is noted that you get 4 days early access into the game, so this is gonna be a February 17th release for those of you that pre-order, and on top of that, if you do pre-order, you get 3 bonus weapons in the game as well. So that is something to note if you're eager to play the game as soon as possible. And lastly, I do want to note that this is some pretty interesting information. Redfall and Hogwarts Legacy co-developer Studio Gobo is now working on Sony's Horizon. They noted on Twitter, we're thrilled to share that Studio Gobo is now a Guerrilla co-development partner on the Horizon universe. We're currently filling roles on this and other teams. See our open positions at studiogobo.com. That is so insane to me that Sony is investing this much into Horizon, and, you know, I love Horizon. Horizon is honestly probably my favorite Sony IP. I'm not saying it's the best. I've been pretty vocal about Horizon Forbidden West's narrative direction not being where I want to go, but the open world, the visuals, I just think is my kind of game that I can get into really easily. But how invested Sony is into the IP is insane to me. I do know Horizon Zero Dawn sold incredibly well, and for a new IP to crack 20 million copies sold, that is ridiculous. Forbidden West seemingly did really well. Burning Shore is, I'm sure, going to do really well. We have a VR title headlining PSVR 2, which is a big deal for Sony, so they have a lot of pressure on Horizon as this universe and this IP, and they're working on a multiplayer game, and I'm really excited to see how that turns out more than anything. And you know that there's going to be a third Horizon game, and I really hope that they don't conclude it with the trilogy, because I just feel like you can do so much with this universe, and I can go on like a 15-minute tangent on why I think they misfired with the direction of the narrative, but I know some of you guys haven't played Forbidden West, so I'm not trying to get into like OD spoilers right now, but yeah, this is a franchise that's gonna be here for a very, very long time. Like, it's clear to me that Sony sees Horizon right at the God of War level, as far as a franchise that is gonna be a pillar for them for, let's say, 10, 15, even 20 years from now. And God of War, I feel the exact same way about. Like, that's a franchise that Sony's gonna be invested into for a very, very long time, because, like, Kratos is like a mascot for them, and Aloy has kind of become a mascot for them as well. Not at the God of War level. Like, I feel like Kratos is just like a super, super well-known character, and I don't think Aloy is quite at that level, but she's getting there pretty quickly, and it's clear to see that Sony's going to be invested into the Horizon business for a long time. Although, I also did hear that Horizon is, you know, Aloy's story is supposed to be a trilogy, so we'll see. These things can shift very, very quickly, and if the demand is there for more games and more Horizon content, I'm sure they'll do it, so we'll see how that ultimately turns out. So that is going to do it for me. Again, Last of Us really rocketing up in sales after the television show drop. Kind of typical, but we saw this with The Witcher. Cool to see, and hopefully the rest of the season you guys do end up enjoying it. As far as the future of the franchise, the door is open for Last of Us Part 3. We'll see if that does ultimately happen. Some Kenny Omega free DLC in Like a Dragon Ishinn, think it's pretty cool. If you're a wrestling fan, I think that's going to be something, you know, that's like a match made in heaven if you're also a Yakuza fan, and it just integrates into the game really, really well. And then Studio Gobo is now a Guerrilla co-development partner on the Horizon universe. That's going to do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.